Okay, we're live. It is 6:30, February 21st. Call this meeting to order. If everyone would stand for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion that will allow us to work together to make good decisions for our city and that will glorify your name. May our work and actions make a positive impact on the lives of our citizens. And Father, let us be mindful of our purpose as leaders and to listen carefully and thoughtfully to the concerns of others. We pray that you will watch over all of us as we go about our daily lives. Just bless us with your grace, your mercy, and your peace. We ask all of these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, any announcements? Any announcements? None. Moving on to number 5, workshop discussion and/or action to define structure of future administration for the city of West Tawakoni. I'll open up the floor. One at a time.
Okay, Robin, you got something written.
One at a time. Don't overtalk each other. Guys, we had this meeting because y'all, this is what everybody wanted, I thought. So what are we doing? I mean, are we just wasting our time or what?
Nope. I guess I'll go first. I guess what I'd like to know, it seems that
Ooh.
the future administration for the city of West Tawakoni, it says that on the agenda. So we're going to move into a finance director position, correct? If that's correct, right?
That's what we're looking at doing, yeah.
Okay. So are we going, and I know this may be kind of going off track a little bit, but since we're doing that, are we being asked to do away with the city administrator job indefinitely? Or will that always remain on the table should we ever want to have another city administrator?
No, that's not off the table or anything. I think the biggest thing right now is and what you'll see in a little bit, for an official city administrator, we're gonna spend at least $80,000, maybe as much as $100,000 for, and we don't have the funds to do that with.
Right.
Kim is currently doing the QuickBooks, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and she's got a good handle on that. She's done a great job. But there's a lot of other duties that Annette does, and what Kim doesn't do, Annette does do. But unfortunately, we're going to be losing Annette in June 14th. Is that right? So,
You can't stay till
No,
my birthday.
So
4 more days.
My anniversary's right around the corner.
4 more days.
So will this financial officer, I don't know any other terminology to put on the position, and Kim, so they'll play off of each other, correct? They'll kind of.
Yeah, that's the way I envision it,
And
yeah.
you're gonna hang around if we do hire this person to help train them and do that too, right? Because I have read the job description and it's pretty defined in there what we're looking
That
for.
what I feel like is these next 4 months, moving more over to Kim. If we could get the other person in here, then the other person could be trained for payroll as well for other duties, because everybody needs to be cross-trained.
Yes.
And then at that point, it's going to be budget time. And that is going to be something
That's
that,
soon.
June, yes,
Wow.
it needs to start.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to, Kim and I are going to communicate. I'm going to come in, when she needs me to help with this or that, because there's going to be some things, say like in August, there's some payments that are due that are water loan payments. They're only paid twice a year. You have to transfer the funds.
USDA loans?
This is something that, unless you do it, you're not familiar with it. And it's something you just have to put on the calendar and say, this is due. And you have to have it there, say, about 3 weeks before. So the funds are in there. You transfer that out of the water sewer, put it in the USDA account. The money's there.
If I may interrupt, that's something that whenever you took on this role, you had to learn, right? I mean, you didn't have any.
No, I did not, and I also did not, the amortization schedule of when you were asking me today in our meeting, when is that loan paid off? That's not something that I know. I have to look at it. I have to look at that sheet because we have some loans that are 30 years, and we have some that are 40 years.
Yeah.
So.
I think the one we're talking about today is the one that goes till 2045.
That, I just have to look at those and see, because, that, and like the American Rescue money, there's a report that's fixing to come up due in April. And that is something that that's still gonna be hanging over us until 24, because the SCADA and stuff that they're gonna be doing at the water plant, that will be, we're still waiting on parts for that. So, there's a lot of things, and I spoke to Wanda yesterday and told her, that I was going to be retiring and she'll be, working with Kim, and she said, that's good. So now that she can start giving her, the information.
So
I'm sorry. I have one other thing. I'm sorry.
So, is this person going to come in and take over all the financial stuff and Kim's going to do all the other stuff? Or how are you going to divide up the duties here? I know she's going to have to be trained in both sets of it, but what is your vision of dividing up
My
the
vision
duties?
is for the person that comes in is to start doing paying the bills, doing the accounts payable, get familiar, and then you start, because as it is now, I showed a couple of y'all when you came in the list of duties for the city secretary. That's a long list.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work, and that every 2 weeks you've got payroll. These council meetings normally take a full day. Preparing, posting this and that's something new to us is the website. Getting these things going. So these are things that I'm going to, get her help with, and so that she can do this. And then the other person, she can train them as well. You have to keep up with the ordinance books. You have to keep up with publishing stuff in the newspaper.
So will that person be doing that, or will Kim do the lion's share of that?
Kim will do it sometimes and get the other person to do it as well. That way you both know. And when we have the public hearings for the zoning change or anything like that, or when we have a public hearing, this has to be published in the newspaper. Any public hearing has to go in the newspaper, and it has to be in there 16 days prior to that public hearing. Y'all know our newspaper is not real. It only comes out on Monday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
And so you have to count your days, and it's kind of hard to keep up with. One thing that Shannon is doing now, when it is for the public hearings for the planning and zoning, she's sending out the letters, letting them be notified, because sometimes that used to be 20 to 30 letters I'd have to send out on top of that.
I was going to bring that up. I didn't know who was doing it though.
And that is, something that Kim has not done before. So there is a lot to it. There's a lot of paperwork here.
Okay, well, you just made me think of something else. So when we have like a personnel issue or something, will that be divided, like with one of y'all take like the staff here at City Hall and the other take the Public Works Department? How will that work? Or will you just work cohesively together? I mean, I don't,
So I want to step in because to make sure I understand this right, I've been doing a lot of research since we first all started talking about this, I guess, a month ago, at our last meeting. And I've came up and talked to you quite a bit, Annette, and I already knew that our city was only required to have a city secretary. We are required to have a city secretary.
yes,
We are not required to have a city administrator.
right.
So I started asking, why is that? Well, number one, it's because it's our size city, right?
Mhm.
Per statute.
Right.
So with that being said, then if you'll think about what you just said, your question should be able to be answered by, no, all personnel issues would go to Kim,
Kim,
the
okay.
city secretary, because that's what's required by statute, right?
Okay.
So the city secretary is in the grand scheme of things of government required for our city, shows that city secretary
Mhm.
basically as the person of the city, right? The city administrator has came in and I've been looking at other cities and asking Annette that's always been sort of treated sort of like a city manager position,
Right,
right?
Yeah.
And it seems to me, looking at other cities, that was a position that over time was created, and it was sort of created for more of the money reason than anything else, from everything I'm seeing. And I understand that, right? Because business, anybody that's been in business, you realize that maybe a supervisory position or whatever is created so you can actually justify giving that person more money.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we've gotten to, but the problem is our city hasn't been able to keep up with the money side of things to be able to hold that position.
Mhm.
I mean, it just,
Well, I just asked because I know in the past, Susan, she handled all the personnel issues. And I didn't know how that was gonna be structured. And I know, and I don't mean to divulge any information about the applicants, but I know some of them do have HR experience. So they do have history and experience with employee issues. So I didn't know.
And if you look back, we had a city secretary, then later they appointed assistant city secretary. But city secretary was Susan for years, and I was the assistant city secretary.
Oh, okay.
And we had
I
our
didn't know
mayor and our council. And then they decided to go, I was still the assistant, so that is why that I got involved mostly in the bookkeeping start of it. I started in the water department years ago. And,
Water back in?
yeah, back, you saw my wooden water meter back there. But then our council decided, because, you know, they projected so much growth here, we needed a city administrator. And when you were asking a while ago about doing away with the city administrator position, I don't think that needs to be done. I think right now we need to move forward with our finances. We need to get these things in order. But we do need to consider this because the city is going to be growing and we will have more money to pay.
Because currently, her salary comes out of the water department.
Yes,
Public
right.
Works.
I do know that.
I think at one time it was split, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. It seemed like it was
At
split.
one time, I was paid in general fund and Susan was paid in the water and sewer because it was the assistant city secretary and city secretary. So, and then when we hired our first administrator, that was out of the general fund.
And I've done some research too.
The administrator was,
Kevin Burke.
it was right after that, our zoning went into effect. Was it, when was that zoning book? Was it 95?
I think it
So back in the mid-90s.
I
So
think it may have
you have
been.
a copy
I
of
think
that.
the front of it, I think it said 95. I think that's when our first administrator came on.
And I've kind of looked into some things too, and I did, because I know if we do, and I'm not going to use the word eliminate anymore, if we do just kind of do away with it for a little while, temporarily maybe, that a lot of the duties, Jim, will kind of fall off onto you too. Because, and I know that you are the mayor and you are basically the CEO of the city. I do understand that, I get it. But I talked to a gentleman who is a city councilman on a city that's actually moved into what we're what we're being asked to move into. And I asked him, I said, so how's that working for you? He said, well, it actually works really well. He said, the only problem that we have is electing a mayor because they don't want all that responsibility. And I said, are you really? He said, yes, we've had some difficulty getting people to step up to want to be mayor because they just don't want to take on, all of that. They think there's just too much for them. So that's a concern for me, but I don't think we have an issue with that right now. I mean, that's just something to think about.
The way that our council is working, and when Jim and I were talking, the mayor and I were talking about, moving forward. I feel like that our council can have input into a lot of the works of our city.
Mhm.
And that is something that which Kevin has been helping us in the water and,
Sure.
there's a lot of stuff out there that, we can get help with.
Okay.
This sounds more like a assistant city secretary position rather than a financial.
It would be both, because it would really be both.
So basically taking it back to what it was when you and Susan were doing it.
Mhm.
The emphasis on finance.
Yes.
Quickly.
So that sounds more like what we're actually talking about here is an assistant city secretary that would take on the responsibilities, not just be totally financial. If you're going to share these things,
Mhm.
rather than a financial person. There's some wording too that's a little, you either have an officer so that the city council is involved in their hiring, or you have a city secretary that the council's involved in, or you just have a financial person, which the city wouldn't be involved in the council to do with the terminology, and that's a little concerning. I mean, I'm not going to be on the council forever. Somebody else is going to come and do this. Are they going to have input on who's hired if this person leaves,
Well, yes, you would have to, the council has to hire this person.
So that would be needed to be in the wording so that they could do that. Because if we say it's just a financial person rather than a financial officer or a city secretary position or an assistant city secretary position, then that opens it up that the council doesn't have the legal background to necessarily hire it.
I'm not sure what you mean by the legal, what?
By wording,
Well, on here it says financial director, so I would think the council would be over that.
Well, I mean, that's the way we're gonna, I mean.
I see what she's
Yeah.
saying. She just said I'm gonna leave it open to where,
Yeah.
to where, down the road somewhere you get,
Well, so do we think we need to, which I don't think it changes much of our applicants really.
no.
So do we think we need to change this now to assistant secretary to make it a little,
We
bit more formal?
should already have job duties back there somewhere.
Well, we have job duties for city administrator, we have job duties for our city secretary. And, pretty much, I can look through there, but I looked in the human resource book today, and as far as job duties, I did the city secretary duties, along with it, so.
Take the
it just
administrator
kinda-
duties, move that down under your secretary, just change the name of it.
But the city administrator, really does nothing but budgeting. I mean, I'm not saying nothing.
Tell them on yourself.
City administrator, no, in the
Don't matter now.
description.
I said it don't matter now, she's winning.
I did put my foot in your mouth. But when you read this, you'll say, we need more than that right
Yes.
now. We need a lot more. We have too much going with all the
Yeah.
building. And we need to, Shannon has got her hands full. We've got a lot of duties around here. And I think the city is fixing to grow.
oh, definitely.
So it only makes sense for us to just call this different. Just call it
We can-
assistant secretary.
Yeah, I think that would make more sense.
And then that also kind of makes it look like we're staying on board with what we've done,
Right,
right? We're not kind of like.
We're not
reinventing-
changing
Yeah.
the.
We're not reinventing the wheel,
right.
so.
Well, we can reinvent the wheel come budget time. Then we can look, see where we're at, how we're doing.
So we just call it different, but I think we still got some applicants that fit
Have
that
we gotten
shoe.
any more than what we looked at?
That, well, to be honest, I didn't have time to even look today. I can go back there and look, but,
It's 'cause
if we
Charlie's
go-
doing that.
if we go into, the, today was a bad,
Today
was a bad one. You're so awful close to me saying that. But if we go into executive session and we consider what we have,
Because we
then
have some good ones
that,
there.
and,
Say it.
you know, then, I'll
You may have a
look
good
on
idea.
my file and see.
What do you got?
So to solve all this problem, why don't we just push Kim up to city administrator and then hire this person in as city secretary? Or she could be administrator.
You know he's coming in for a promotion.
It's a non-paying promotion.
Leon,
It's,
she almost passed out.
I think she's going
It is a non-paid promotion.
Defibrillator and truck.
I was thinking, say, you better call the doctor.
no pressure on non-paying.
That bag in the truck.
Either make her city administrator slash secretary and then hire this other person in, or,
I told
and that still stays online with what we've been doing for the last 28 years, or whatever it's been.
And then I've kind of shared a lot of some of the stuff on the city administration side in the last 2 years. And it's worked out pretty well. Really kind of what we did, okay, you take the inside, I'll take the outside. That was kind of the way we looked at it, but we still, she still did inside and outside. We just kind of teamed up.
But I mean, that's fine with you, but what happens when you're not
I
here?
didn't say it was fine with me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's fine. That's the way we did it.
Rephrase it, it has worked with you. And I think that was the biggest concern here.
is when the next
It's
person.
when the
The
next
next
person
person,
comes in.
Yeah.
That's it.
So,
right
so
there.
we probably need to back up to what Leon said and let Kim kind of chime in on this.
She's
I mean,
chewing on it.
it's not really gonna change anything of what you
There's
did.
a lot she does that I don't.
Okay,
Well, who's
and-
But
gonna
you're
do
gonna
that
have
when
to do
she's
it
gone?
anyway when
Yeah,
it's gone.
so-
but in her
I have to
defense,
learn it.
Renee was in the same
But-
position whenever she started.
So to Leon's point, and to your point, you're right, there is a lot, but that's your point. But to Leon's point, it's still gonna be here, so it's gonna be you and this new person doing
Sink or
it.
swim.
Well, it's gonna be,
It's gonna be
but
that way
it's gonna
anyway,
be you and
because
this
you're
new
the head
person doing
person.
it, right,
Right.
regardless.
Regardless.
So, I mean, I'm really enjoying this workshop.
It's just a different name.
So, I mean, literally, it's gonna be you and the new person doing it anyway. So do we look at, like Leon said, and go, well, why change any name badges,
Mhm.
right, or position names? Because in reality, you're probably going to be doing that anyway. Now, there's only one caveat to that. Hiring this new person, she would, or he would not have the proper, didn't you just went to? a-
But she is the city secretary, so she
I know.
needed to go. to
I
the
know,
election.
but what I'm
But-
saying is, this new person would not have the proper credentials to hold the city secretary position.
Oh, yeah.
So if we were to do what you're saying, we would have to,
Either way, they still need to train.
they would have to come in as, they would have to come in as the assistant secretary. We couldn't move her to this position yet until the new person got the proper training
Correct.
in order to take the position.
But
So
And
that
this
would
is-
be,
and this
that would be a twofold process, but it could be a process, it could be a roadmap that would map out.
And
can
this-
she not be the administrator slash secretary?
That's what I've been.
Yeah.
That's what she's been.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do that and then hire an assistant secretary.
Here's what I'm thinking too. Whoever we get, Kim needs training, the new person needs training, and we need to catch up with all those different trainings, not only just the election training, but a lot of the other trainings for both of us. not just one of them, so that whoever is here can handle whatever, comes. Because there's TML trainings, there's the court training, there's a lot of different trainings that they need to be
Yeah.
involved in. For example, they're supposed to have the sales tax training, that the EDC is supposed to get too.
In
Have you ever had that?
I think she went to one, didn't you?
You never had any been to that?
Now,
When I was
I,
on-
years ago, I went to as assistant city secretary, I went to a EDC training in Mesquite.
Probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be every 2 years. It's not valid
That was
after
the
2
only
years.
time
So
that I went.
we need to send them for that, So there's several trainings we need to send our people to. So even if we get a new person, we need to be looking at training Kim, training a new person, training
And I
whoever.
think as a council, we should probably be having some more of these workshops, knowing that our city is growing and sitting down and actually looking at the job duties.
Yes, and talking with them and letting them say, hey, I can't keep up with this, I can, I need help here, or I need,
That we have been cross-training Amanda more as well, and
She's really picking up.
she is.
Amanda's a-
Yeah, she is. She's really taking ownership.
And Tammy also wants to,
Tammy's been
cross-training
cross-training
in court.
Wants
So,
to do that.
we're trying to get it to where that we have a lot of that here.
But Amanda's, we need to show her.
Yeah, Amanda's been doing
Johnny was
accounts
right.
receivable,
Yeah,
some
Amanda-
accounts receivable and stuff. So,
She comes to my door and says, "You got that for me?"
it's bank reconciliations. And she's been doing those too, and that's a whole day deal.
She's been doing the smaller accounts, and I told her, I said, I'm just gonna get you to start working on the larger ones. She said, well, let me do this first. I'm doing okay, but she is really, helping us.
She really has.
let me see if I understand what I said. If we have if we move her to administrator / secretary, and then hire an assistant secretary, that person could be training all the time as the city grows, and then we decide we need a full-time administrator and a city secretary and a assistant secretary, then
Positions are,
we're lined up,
Right.
I like that idea.
and we're not, doing away with anything, which we weren't going to anyway, but we're still lined up like we've been doing business for the last 28 years or however long it's been. You see anything wrong with that plan, Annette?
As long as Kim is.
I have everybody's blessing.
As
Oh,
long as-
yeah.
as long as-
No.
as long as she's
We'll
willing.
have our blessing and our help.
I will pray for you every night.
Well, I hope so.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we all need to be honest and say, it was gonna be 2 people doing all of these tasks anyway.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
All we're kind of hashing out right now
The name of it.
is the name tag.
That's
I mean,
right.
we're not changing, we're really not changing anything except for the name on the door as far as what it's called, whether it's place 1 or place 2 or that's all.
Yeah.
Well, it is changing a little bit of the structure and what we're looking for.
Kim, I'm gonna change
But-
myself.
I think it's a good change.
As far as structure and what we're looking for,
I mean, so now we're saying to them, you're not just gonna do the financial part of this, you're going to be doing,
You have more
Everywhere anyway.
you have more duties.
Well, yeah, I think-
And they'll have to grow into that.
And that's more along what we've actually advertised. for.
yeah, if I understand it correctly, that's kind of what we were saying anyway.
Yeah.
Right, but
We were saying, I think,
And it,
I think
and
what
it says,
everybody got
and
hung up on
duties
was-
to be,
Yeah.
Yes,
I
They plainly
think,
state that,
I think
yes.
what our reason why we're here tonight at this workshop is there was a hang up on what the name tag was. That's the only reason why we're here. The duties on there are saying all these duties that we're talking about that they were gonna share anyways. So I think we've kind of solved our 2+2 problem.
I think everybody's in agreement to that.
I mean, it was just a name tag difference of understanding is all it is.
But it also gives them an opportunity to know that they could have, that like Kim can advance up into the administrator job too. So it kind of is, like you said, it's a 2+2 thing.
So I mean, that's,
Because when
But
we
it is-
grow, we're going to have to look at that eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll still
Yeah.
kind of be like it is now, and it does inside. Mike handles public works, he handles
Right,
police,
exactly.
and you're here.
Right, exactly, Tim. It'll be
only thing that's
like
gonna
that.
change it, and Ned's gonna be going home and playing the guitar and
You're
whatever.
gonna take a pay cut.
And then
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
take a
have
pay
another person in here that's gonna help you take care of what you and Ned are doing now.
Yeah.
That's basically what's gonna happen.
No worries, we'll keep it a defibrillator.
But-
My husband's a musician.
But the beautiful thing about this is y'all been doing a darn good job of cross-training the other
Yes, you
office
have.
staff, the other staff here. So this is gonna make things a lot different than what it is today. I mean, 6 months down the road from what y'all have been doing with the other people working here, these things right here that seem like, oh my goodness, are not gonna be so, oh my goodness, because other people are gonna be able to do some of this stuff. Even, I mean, there's gonna be times where the tasks that you do today, next week or next month, you're not even gonna do that task this next month because you're gonna say, hey, you know what? Tammy, you do this month because we've trained you. And that's what's good because we have to be able to do that because you're gonna wanna take a vacation or this person's gonna wanna take a vacation. And guess what? The citizens don't care. I mean, I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a citizen and
Absolutely right.
if y'all wanna take a vacation, go take a vacation, but my city better still run. I mean, and that's what every citizen in this city thinks,
Exactly.
okay?
And it's not just vacations, it's getting sick.
Right, or sick, you're right, but
You never know.
to be
what's
off,
on
right? The point is to be off of work. Somebody's gonna be off at some point, and so what y'all are doing, and it's great because I think we started, 2 years, when you first came on as mayor, we started talking about the cross-training stuff. And y'all have been doing it, and it's awesome.
They've done a great job.
Yeah.
Amanda's probably more well-versed. Go ahead, Mike, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think it's neat to see that you also are encouraging growing from within. You have a lot of
You ain't
experience
getting
between
emotional.
these two people sitting right here. And it's really neat to see that you guys all support growing from within. Because I promise you this, I'm training him to do the very same thing. So, thank you.
You ain't getting a promotion, so just,
Well, we do have a head.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, we do have
Thanks.
a head janitor position.
I am the head janitor.
I think
Well, it's once been said, I told Kevin this today, it's once been said that you want to build a team so strong you don't need the boss is.
Yep.
That's what you want. That's what we're looking for. And that's what I've tried to do for a long
Okay,
time.
so what we need to say, that all we're gonna do is change the name kind of like to the assistant city secretary, right? At some point when we're able to, she will move fully into the administrator's position, but when we do hire this person, they will be the assistant city secretary. Kim will actually be, once Annette has went home and played guitar,
City
Kim will actually be
secretary
city
slash
secretary
administrator.
/ administrator, city administrator.
Yeah.
Until the other person gets the proper training to hold the city secretary position.
And until the
Yes.
city sees the need.
Okay.
I'd like to add to this too, just having this workshop too, that's another point here. Our citizens get to see what's going on and they get to see that our input and everything too. And I think that's good for them to see. It's
Yeah.
good for them to know and stay
Well, yeah, I
informed.
mean, it's like.
Because we have people that, I mean, I had my neighbor that lived behind us ask me a question the other day. I didn't know. So this is great. So now they can watch and they can know and they can stay informed too.
I always tell them, call the mayor.
They call.
So,
They do call.
so one of the things we could do tonight is to go into special session and look at the applicants and see which ones we want to bring in for interviews.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Could be that. Are we all in agreement with everything so far? Is it,
I am.
I don't know that it requires a vote, does it? I mean,
I don't
Well,
think
you
I
so.
mean, there's no,
Minefield just went.
what?
For battery.
Do I need to go see if there's any batteries?
I'll get one.
We got a
So
problem.
we got it right there. Okay, we can just, we don't have to just adjourn into
Okay,
executive session.
so it's 7:05, and we're gonna go into executive session. So you wanna, whatever you gotta do with you two.
Can I pause that thing?
Just put it on mute.
Actually going back.
Yeah, don't hit pause.
Do
Go
we-
ahead, Pop.
Y'all
Put it on
wanna
your
go back
stand.
there? Is that what y'all wanna do?
Oh, yeah, we
Okay.
Good gosh. Ah. We're back on 7:50.
So we're gonna return to open session. It is 7:50. And discussion and take action about the appointment of a finance director, or city administrator. And just to clarify things, the decision's been made to retitle that to assistant secretary / finance. Am I correct?
I'm good with that.
Yes.
And we agreed to start our interviews on March the 7th and carry it on till possibly March 8th, provided we can get everybody in at that time. We're setting the 8th for a fallback in case someone is not able to make it on March 7th. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
I agree.
You're in favor? We didn't need to vote on it
No, we
yet.
don't really need to.
Yeah.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
This was discussion and action.
Uh-oh,
Oh,
Oh, it was? No action.
sorry, y'all.
No action.
We got excited.
I say no action.
Well,
And or.
Well,
No action, the needed votes on.
yeah, there's not really anything to take an action on.
okay, no action taken.
Yeah, it says and or action.
Yeah,
I second that motion.
we are adjourned.
Thirty second.
Chris.
Chris and Leon.
I think.
You staying here all night?
That's what I said.
Oh, you got
That's
the
what I
key.
said, I'm staying.
Oh, I think you said staying.
Oh, I-
Oh,
You better get the key, because this sucker said he's staying here.
I thought he said abstain.
I did say abstain.
Oh,
He
okay.
did, but that's he's staying here.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah. Kim.
I'm gonna go ahead and lock this door and unlock that one.
Hey, Michael, why don't you lock that door for us?
Yes, sir.
Well, an hour and 40.